Hello my loves, and welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be talking about why witches lose their power, their magic, as soon as they fall in love with the wrong man. Now this can look like several different things, so I'm not just talking about narcissistic men and toxic men who are very energy vampiric, very parasitic, but they obviously are the worst types. However, this can also be with any type of man that makes you feel small or oppress yourself, suppress who you are, or who drains you in any way. So we're going to be looking at the more severe cases, why this happens, what it can lead to, and obviously how to retain your energy and your power. Because so many women come to me confused as to why they don't feel their energy or their power, why they can't manifest, why they may not be able to even do like rituals or spell work. They kind of just feel everything is flat, or worse, they literally feel like they're completely depleted, they cannot heal themselves, or they're under severe spiritual attack. They always feel like they're getting attacked and targeted, but they don't have enough energy to like defend themselves. So all of this is connected and all of this goes hand in hand. But one of the worst things that can happen to a witch or a healer or priestess, any sort of spiritual woman who is very connected, all women to be honest, but especially spiritual women who usually are really like destined to be healers or even exorcists or do any sort of healing work, they usually do get targeted by so-called warlocks or narcissists, because narcissists truly are, like I've said in other videos, the modern day witch hunters. A lot of them will be connected to that same energy that's extremely misogynistic, that has this kind of very deep subconscious hatred towards the divine feminine. So when I say witches, I don't mean women who abuse their power, who are wounded witches, which I'll get into. I mean women who are like utilizing their magic, who are usually very empathic, who are just extremely powerful, but devoted to being of service to humanity. Those are usually the types of women who do get targeted like really, really bad. So because they are the biggest threat to society, because this is the type of energy that will not keep feeding the matrix. They are here to break it. But the divine feminine is the one, when they are truly embodied in their energy and power, they are the ones that are most capable of causing very positive changes, very positive awakenings within women and men, and basically protecting the spirit world. Because like I've said in other videos, you know, divine masculines are very good with their kind of grounded protection when it comes to more physical threats and that type of thing. But the divine feminine is really, really quite a power horse when it comes to spiritual protection as well. So that's where she rules. That's where she has like dominion, is in the spirit world, in the astral worlds. And this is why she gets so badly attacked, because that is the kind of hidden, covert, dark subconscious spiritual warfare that is going on, you know, behind the scenes. And this is why women, you know, throughout centuries have been attacked, ruthlessly oppressed and controlled by men and by very oppressive religions. So they never ever awaken their divine feminine energy, because if they do, then the whole system will crumble, the whole system will fail. And this is where this kind of like wave of, you know, witch hunters, which usually do present themselves in the forms of like dark warlocks or, you know, narcissistic men, they will come in with this kind of coding, almost this hive mind consciousness to take out these types of women, because they are the most drawn to you. So this is why the worst thing that can happen to a witch is to fall in love with the wrong man, because they will basically completely destabilize your energy within your body, within your mind, and within your spirit. And this is what turns off your magic. This is what turns off your psychic abilities. This is what dampens all of it. It's not just your physical health that will get hit. It's not just your mental health that will get hit. It will be your spiritual health. And this isn't really spoken of much, because it's not even addressed enough or even known about. So when it comes to your spiritual health, really that's your spiritual defenses. So it's not just your ability to create, which is really the true ability of the divine feminine and witches, is you have a skill of basically being able to conjure and invoke things, your creatrix energy. Like I've said before in other videos, your womb holds that creative energy. So because whenever you have a sexual exchange with someone, you are basically exchanging energies with them. So if you are a very divine, empathic, light-hearted woman, you know, really, really full of love, and you're having intimacy with a very narcissistic, you know, dark warlock, witch hunter type of man who is just like very parasitic, who does not love you, who has very dark intentions, he will taint your whole field. And this is why sometimes, you know, when you are enmeshed with that type of person, it can literally ruin your life. It can completely destroy your life. So, and obviously cause trauma bonds, which is the worst thing that can happen to a witch, because that is literally you leaking all your energy to that man. So this is why it is imperative to understand that that is the thing that you have to have the most discipline over. Because another thing that I've noticed a hell of a lot with wounded witches is that they abuse their power and then they lose it. So, but not in the way that people think. I'm not talking about hexing and all that type of thing. It's more to do with because they haven't done adequate shadow work, working on their self-esteem, working on self-love. They will use their magic and their energy to try to conjure love or validation or attention from the wrong type of man. So usually it will be a sort of obsession or addiction with a man who's triggering their wounds or their shadow because he's inconsistent, because he's an avoidant and he's doing hot cold behavior and making you think, oh, he's my twin flame because he keeps running away from me or whatever the case. It's like, no, he's literally triggering a dopamine and cortisol release within your brain, which is making you addicted to his validation, because every time he'll breadcrumb you with a little bit of affection, that releases a lot of dopamine within your body. So this is almost like, you know, gambling. This is an addiction. So it's almost like a hex that's been planted within the feminine, you know, within the collective, but especially with empathic, loving women who usually do yearn, obviously, for a love that is true, that is real, that is deep. And there's actually nothing wrong with that. However, it can lead to absolute destruction of your power, of your energy, of your whole entire life, because you need to be very disciplined with who you allow into your life. You need to be disciplined with who you allow into your fields, because if you show all that love to someone who does not deserve it, they will literally devour it and they will not reciprocate it back. So if you can imagine yourself like a battery, you will just go down, 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 down. They get depleted the more you're with this person. A lot of women who are natural born witches, oracles, or who embody a very divine feminine energy naturally are very big romantics. And this has actually got a very deep spiritual reason to it. And this is because usually you do have a very old soul and you remember what genuine love actually looked like. So it's not actually a flaw, however, it gets exploited. And that is the thing that people really need to understand, because it's not weak for, oh, wanting a soulmate, wanting a partner, wanting true love. Like that is actually what every healthy human of a high consciousness should want, because it's human nature. And it is actually an extremely high vibrational energy when you can embody that within yourself, and especially with a partner. But unfortunately, there are so many men, especially who are lacking in that energy, who are massively behind, who are not embodying their divine masculine energy. So basically, you are then exploited and abused because you're so desperate for it. So this isn't about shaming women who, you know, want a true love, who want a partner. However, it is making you awaken to the severe consequences of when you do give your love away to those who do not deserve it, because that can literally lead to your complete destruction, if not physically or mentally, spiritually, or worse, all three. And trust me, this happened to me twice. So, and the second time it happened, it literally nearly ended me. Like, I do not say this lightly. So I'm now going to explain why it is so spiritually dangerous when you do this. Not just, physically and mentally, but the spiritual consequences of what can truly happen when a witch loves the wrong man. Like I've said, women are the ones who protect within the spiritual world. This is why on a very deep esoteric level, the divine feminine has always been ruthlessly attacked and not even allowed to do, exorcisms within, the Catholic Church or Christianity or other religions, because she actually is the most powerful at it. Like demonic entities and dark entities fear the divine feminine the most. And I know this from my own experience and from working with dark goddesses myself. So nothing can literally obliterate a dark entity like divine feminine energy can. So this is why it is extremely suppressed within society, because when a divine feminine is united with a divine masculine, they create the ultimate team. Literally like what you see in the Matrix with Neo and Trinity, when they are basically combined as one, they create an extremely powerful energy that can take down pretty much anything. But it's that love and that trust and that loyalty and that activation within both of them which creates that. But the problem is so many women get with men who are just not embodying that energy at all. And this is such a drain on women who have really important life missions, especially spiritual missions, and they're not getting supported. When you are a woman on this path, you must either be single in your own power or partnered with a man who is supportive of you. And this doesn't mean that the divine masculine has to be some guru or spiritually enlightened or whatever the case. He needs to protect your heart. That is the most important thing that a divine masculine can do, is to shield your heart. Because women are extremely connected to everything and notice everything, are very sensitive to everything. It is imperative that you get a man that sees you, that hears you, and shields you. Because if you don't, it will be the death of you. Even with a man who is just completely unconscious or just very avoidant or disconnected or just does not dote on you or love you properly, which, let's face it, most men don't these days, it's so draining for your body because you will not feel safe. This is non-negotiable. This is not even to do with spirituality. This is even to do with biology. A woman needs to feel biologically safe with her partner. If she does not, her whole system destabilizes. Her whole nervous system goes into shutdown or fight or flight. And this is where your magic will disappear. And I've seen this myself over years of experience. The first time it happened, so very quickly, when I was a child, when I was a teenager, I was extremely connected to spirit. I was having paranormal spiritual experiences all the fucking time. As soon as I got into my first relationship, which was about 5 years, it went severely downhill, spiritually speaking. So my mind went into chaos. My body started to get sick. And then my spiritual body started to get weak. Because you need to understand your mind and your body are extremely connected to your spirit. So if you're mentally starting to doubt yourself, feel insecure, starting to hate the way you look, constantly hypervigilant, you're never relaxed. That will dramatically affect not just your physical health, but your spiritual energy. So your spiritual energy will go like this. It goes down. So literally you will start to even disconnect from your body. And this is literally what happened to me. The last time it happened in my previous relationship, the trauma and the stress was so severe that my whole body literally went into shutdown. And that is when you know that you've gone past that threshold. Because sometimes it's easier to get your magic back and your power back when you are in fight or flight. because you still have that kind of spark, even though you're like stressed and like on edge. It's like you've still got that energy there. But the worst thing can happen is when you completely go past that threshold and you shut down, you freeze. This is what narcissists do, is they kill your soul. This is what witch hunters do. So they literally obliterate you, so you don't go on to do what you need to do in this lifetime, which most of the time is breaking generational curses, activating your full potential, or in more serious cases, literally being a spiritual healer, being a spiritual teacher, being an oracle, or whatever the case, working in this field where you're being of service to people, even in non-spiritual environments, but your energy is there to like nurture, care, and fight for basically those in need. When you can't do that, that is basically when darkness wins. That's like the main goal. If you're still here, that means they failed, because that really, on a very dark note, is the ultimate goal. When you have a witch hunter come into your life in the form of a narcissist or a warlock, they either want to siphon all your energy for themselves, or they want to take you out, literally by their own hands, or more sinisterly by your own hands, because they will drive you to madness to then completely want to end your life. They will literally kill your will to live. And this is how serious it can get. You can be the most high vibrational, loving, empathic woman, really connected to spirit, really, you know, like on your path, and the wrong man can completely strip all of that away from you. But very, very slowly. This type of thing does not happen overnight. It will take years. Like I've mentioned in other videos, it'll be like death by 1,000 cuts. Or more severely, it can be quicker when someone is more physically violent. And trust me, I had both. I had literally a physically violent man that nearly, I know, would have taken me out, you know, physically if I didn't leave. And then the second time it was covertly. But the most dangerous thing that happens here is when your spiritual body gets weakened and destabilized, you are vulnerable to attack. As someone who's obviously a medium from, you know, birth, I've noticed this pattern that whenever I was under severe stress and attack within a relationship, whenever my heart was getting broken, my whole spirit was broken and weakened. It will be like this predator, this darkness that's waiting for you to be weakened. So they kick you when you're down, and they use the narcissist, the witch hunter, to do that. And then when you're getting more and more vulnerable, that's when they can take you out. So this is why spiritual attack is so brutal, because it does kick you when you're down. And then when you're already down and you're not getting supported and you're under attack, usually by a gang of spirits and people, it is like war. It is like the most brutal war that you can face. And this doesn't mean that you don't get hit or targeted when you're in a high vibration. Trust me, you do. However, the biggest difference is you can handle it. Because once I had a medium in disguise pretending to help me, and a fake twin flame, which was actually a narcissist. So both of them almost like using an orchestrated attack. And when they came into my life, before that, I was extremely strong. I was getting attacked all the time. However, I was handling it. I felt the best I'd ever felt in my life. I was extremely healthy. I was vibrant. I was basically doing a lot of astral work. So I would literally astral project, and I'd be basically taking part in a lot of fighting within the astral realms. So I was basically being able to get rid of spirits all the fucking time with ease. It was very rare that they were overpower me. So, and in this point in my life, I was single. So this is what I mean when most women, you will feel the most energy, strong energy, especially if you're a sensitive empath that's destined to do exorcism work or banishment work or powerful spell work or powerful healing. Because remember, a healer is usually a fighter, okay? A powerful healer will also be a warrior. You're not just some soft healer. That is actually a lie. So the most powerful healers, you know, divine feminine energy, like I've mentioned in other videos, is not just soft and nurturing. You're also fucking fierce and powerful. You will take out dark entities. You need to face that fear and be like a warrior. So it's like basically you are like, you know, Kali, Sekhmet, Lilith, Hecate, at the same time being like Persephone, goddess of spring, you know, Isis, Kuan Yin, high vibrational, soft feminine energies. You have both energies within you. If you, you know, get targeted by the wrong people and you lose that ability to fight and stand up for yourself, which I did through this process, it will cause the most destruction you've ever seen in your life. It will literally take you to absolute hell because you will not have the energy to shield yourself. And because over time, obviously, when my energy weakens, these entities were basically overpower me. So before, when I was very shielded, very strong, I didn't just get physically very sick and mentally very ill. I also got spiritually very, very weak. So to the point where I couldn't meditate anymore. I couldn't even stay in my body anymore. So at night, I couldn't control things pulling my spirit out of my body. I was constantly shaking all the time. My nervous system was shot, that I was like numb. I couldn't even feel my skin anymore. I had severe panic attacks. I was literally like a broken shell at the end of it. I was so frightened of literally everything. Where before I was literally ripping the jaws off demons, quite literally. And I know that can sound insane, but the ones who get it, get it. And this all happened because I gave my heart to the wrong person. This is the kryptonite of the empath, but especially women. Because, and of course of men as well, but especially women, because when you are someone who already is targeted, when you have that particular bloodline within you where you do have a certain special light within you, or gifts, you know, spiritual gifts that are, you know, to be used to help humanity, things don't want you to activate that. It angers them. They want you to stay small. They want you to stay silent. They want you to stay weak. But more sinisterly, they want to take you out. And this isn't speaking from paranoia. This is literally speaking from experience, and also speaking to hundreds of clients over the years who have gone through similar things as well. So, you know, the spirit world is so much more real than people realize. And unfortunately, nowadays, even with that, it's getting a bit of a hit. Where because of the damage that the New Age has done, you know, preaching false spirituality, which, you know, hurt people, which again, I warned about years ago, people now doubt everything spiritual, when in reality it's like, no, you need to take these things seriously because it is so imperative that you do. Because another thing that can happen in more, you know, less severe cases is women just, you know, abusing their own power or giving away their power or deliberately making themselves small because of inner witch wounds, because they are so desperate to be loved or have a, you know, a partner, that they suppress and oppress their inner wild woman. They suppress their own golden shadow, which really is spiritual gifts. So it's like you just kind of force yourself to fit a little box, a mold, to look normal within the matrix when you're not supposed to. And your spirit will know that. Like, trust me, I've seen this happen to a lot of women, even, you know, ones close to me, where they had so much potential to really be powerful healers, powerful witches, powerful priestesses. However, they got their lives sucked out of them by marrying a man that was just like a wet blanket, that was like nothing but an energy drainer. You need to be with men who are protective of you. You have to be single, or you must only date people who truly treasure your energy. Now, that is so imperative, because it is actually dangerous if you don't. Like, spiritual women, like I said in my shamanic witchcraft video, it's like you are either destined for this path or you're not. And if you are destined for this path, you can get into a lot of trouble and a lot of pain and suffering and despair and literal, you know, psychic attack if you do not follow this call, but also if you don't adequately protect yourself. And this is why empathic women, you must activate your dark feminine energy, because if you don't, again, it will be used against you. Because warlocks, narcissists, energy vampiric people, they use your empathy against you, because that is your kryptonite. As beautiful as it is, because trust me, it is a divine love, you must be discerning with it. You know how to love powerfully, but you must love wisely. You have to protect it and treasure it, and give it to people who reciprocate it. Because I'm not saying all men are bad, but there are a lot of people, and men especially, that will want to take that for themselves, or more sinisterly, you'll have soul ties or soul connections with, who come from past lives, who want to take you out, or they're connected to this very dark entity, this very dark hive mind consciousness that does not want you to thrive, that does not want you to activate or awaken your energy within yourself. And this is the type of thing that happens all the time to people, but especially women who do have this inner witch, this inner oracle within them, within their bloods, within their soul. It is so important you keep that alive and you treasure it. You must not waste that energy on trying to get validation from people who are narcissistic or parasitic. You must use that power to basically, you know, be of service to yourself and to others, because that is the true key. That is the true key for you really becoming activated within yourself, not just wasting it on bullshit or wasting it on meaningless things that your inner wounded child is, you know, screaming about as well. Because like I said, it's not just with, you know, narcissistic men that attack you. It can literally be women who are just, you know, haven't done enough inner shadow work, who are just wasting it on the wrong types of things, wasting it on doing love spells or being obsessive with, you know, tarot readings or whatever the case, you know, really doing, you know, deep forms of spiritual work, just to conjure a man that literally does not give a shit about you. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, the world needs your energy. The world and Gaia needs your power. This is such a serious thing, and it will never ever serve you when you're living in that energy. This is why shadow work is so vital on this path, so you don't waste your energy on the wrong things. You know, because when you really pull all your power back into yourself, that's when things shift. That's when you'll truly connect with things that are destined for you, and your true power. If you have unfortunately gone through this and you're struggling to get your power back, you do feel disconnected from your power, your magic, whatever the case, your energy, then I highly recommend my Dark Feminine Guide, which has all the knowledge that I strongly recommend that every empathic woman needs to learn, and 3 powerful rituals to call back your power. So to cut cords, do a womb cleanse so you clear out that space within your creative portal, and also to initiate dark goddess energies to make that connection to them as well, because connection to dark goddesses is extremely healing for this type of thing as well. So, because a lot of the times, you know, women will feel that kind of loneliness of disconnect, yearning for a man, and then foolishly, you know, connecting themselves to a very parasitic man, when in reality, you're actually yearning for connection to something far greater, far higher, far more powerful and beautiful and divine. When you have that type of connection within yourself, within spirit, you won't give a shit about men like that. It's like, you won't care anymore. So that is true power. That is true healing. So I hope this made sense, my loves. If you do want one-to-one guidance, then as always, the link is also down below. If you do want a cord cutting done because you need to really separate a trauma bond or break a soul tie from someone that, again, you do feel is parasitic, then I can do that on your behalf as well. So all of the links are down below. Until next time, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification button for my future uploads. Until next time, I'm sending you so much love, so much light. Take care of yourselves. Ahimsa.